Right.
Who's the best? El hombre de araña.
All right, here we go.
Tobey Maguire.
Andrew Garfield.
Tom Holland. Who's the best?
So starting off first, Tobey Maguire.
Go Web, go!
Tobey Maguire was really the pioneer of Spider-Man. He basically had to take a template that was nowhere around, had to create the character on his own.
Take it back.
You done messed up, Aaron!
The reason I picked Tobey Maguire, he had to start on his own. He had to find his way as Spider-Man when nobody else had ever done this before, especially having nothing to work with. He actually found his gimmick for Spider-Man. He also played a pretty intellectual Peter Parker. His Spider-Man could have been a little bit better in terms of more funnier and sarcastic, but overall, at the time, just him doing his own thing and finding his own way, I think he did a pretty good job in the first two Spider-Mans.
He set the bar. Touching basis with what my man Pro Phil said before, Tobey Maguire was the first man to put on the costume. Now, CGI back in the day kind of limited, as I guess you could say, limited what Spider-Man could do on screen. But I think he did a pretty good job as Spider-Man, but I think his shining glory was with Peter Parker. He really showed that innocence, that sarcasticness, and his intelligence was there as well. I mean, the age range wasn't quite where I would have liked it to be at the time, but I think the character development with the first two movies was just amazing. And with Spider-Man, even still with the current movies, they really haven't quite found that just yet. Yeah, what he said.
Next up, Andrew Garfield.
Unfortunately, what I have to say about Andrew Garfield is that he just wasn't the Peter Parker I wanted to see. As Spider-Man, he was sarcastic, he was witty, he cracked jokes. It was just everything you wanted to see in Spider-Man. But as Peter Parker, I gotta say, honestly, the age range just wasn't right. He was older than the role he was casted for, and it was very clear. It was like watching an old man walk through high school acting like he's young again. Frankly, sorry, Andrew, you gotta grow up a little bit. Fortunately, that franchise didn't last, so I'm sorry, man, but you're gonna be a little low on my list.
Any thoughts?
What do we say? Andrew Garfield. It started out so promising, The Amazing Spider-Man with the Lizard. Amazing movie. But then we get to Electro. Where did it all go wrong? It was Spider-Man 3 all over again. You had Green Goblin come out of nowhere. Electro, who knows his story? That dubstep, if I wanted dubstep, I go to a David Guetta concert. Not this.
All right, now jumping to our last contender, Tom Holland.
Tom Holland, the holy grail of Spider-Mans. He's basically on his own other level. He took Spider-Man from here all the way up to here. He plays Peter Parker really well. They got the age down pat from him being a teenager still in high school. His Spider-Man is incredible. His science is on point, and Homecoming was an amazing movie. You know, the bad guy they chose, the Vulture. Second one, Mysterio, Jake Gyllenhaal did a great part, equally as good. Sony and Disney took this franchise to a whole nother level, and the longevity of the character that we know he's actually gonna be Spider-Man for at least another couple of movies is just gonna be great for future movies, what they do with him.
He's basically what Robert Downey is to Iron Man. He is Spider-Man. Not only is he a great actor himself, but he's also capable of doing some of the stunts that's required to play Spider-Man, which is something I gotta say a lot the other two actors didn't have. I mean, by the end of the third Spider-Man movie, I mean, Tobey Maguire was getting a little pudgy. He barely fit in the suit. And then Andrew Garfield, he was up there in age. I doubt he can bend those ways anymore. But Tom Holland, man, he does backflips, he does spins, he does all the things you need to do to be Spider-Man. And on top of that, amazing actor. I mean, he fits Peter Parker's role really well. It's more consistent with the comic books and the fact that he is the proper age range. He was still early in high school when he became Spider-Man. Now, I would have liked to see a touch on his origin story in the beginning. They decided to skip it and just jump straight into him being Spider-Man, which is fine. That's fine, because honestly, they made up for it. I'm just excited to see where they take him next. Honestly, there's rumors that Kraven, the Hunter, is they're trying to make Craven the next villain in the third Spider-Man movie to finish off his first trilogy. The first trilogy of 3, which honestly I'm super psyched about. I want to see him be Spider-Man as long as he can, and apparently he wants to be Spider-Man for as long as he can as well.
So overall, my list will have to be Andrew Garfield least, Tom Holland smack in the middle, and Tobey Maguire just a tad bit ahead of him.
Alright, I'm gonna have to disagree on that just a tad. I'm perfectly fine with Andrew Garfield being on the bottom, but my ranking would be starting in first place Tom Holland. Like I said, he fits the role perfectly. He's the Robert Downey of the Spider-Man universe, and I love it. Second, Tobey Maguire, nostalgia. I would love to put you first, but I'm sorry, man. Spider-Man 3 really irks me. And then, sorry, last but not least, but a little bit least, Andrew Garfield. You just didn't measure up. You did your best, and you're an amazing actor, but you just didn't fit the mold.
All right, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I got Andrew Garfield down right on the bottom, Tobey Maguire up in number 2, and top dog for Spider-Man for me is Tom Holland. Tom Holland. Sorry, Andrew Garfield. Emma Stone dumped your ass for a reason.
So closing things off, how would you rank the Spider-Man of the cinematic universe?
And do you have a favorite outside the cinematic universe? Leave your comments below. We would love to hear your ideas. Also, next week, spoiler alert, we will be talking about Spider-Man Far From Home. We gave you guys time to watch it, so don't blame us for hearing something you don't want to hear.
All right, guys, that's all we got for today. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and as always, rant on.
Tobey Maguire